Hey guys, what is going on? In today's video, I wanted to cover my top 5 M1 MacBook Air or M1 MacBook Pro productivity hacks that you can use for your brand new M1 MacBook. So I've had the MacBook for maybe a few months now, and I realized that there are some features that make MacBooks, but also have a tendency to be a really big distraction for when you're trying to get work done on it. So I figured why not showcase my personal top 5 MacBook productivity hacks that I had to use throughout this semester to make sure I got all my work done all of the time. All right, so let's jump into the first productivity hack for the MacBook, and that is making sure that your dock and your taskbar are both minimized. Now, if you had to choose one between hiding your dock or your taskbar, I would definitely choose on hiding your dock, because your dock, I think, plays the major role in causing a huge distraction for your MacBook. Look at this right now. I have a badge on top of my reminders notification, I have a badge on top of my messages notification, and if I was trying to do a research report or if I was trying to do anything on my Mac and I saw any of these notifications, you already know you gotta open them and see what's going on behind that. So that's why I keep it hidden, because the only time I'm gonna see what's going on is if I purposefully open the dock. Now, yeah, I could just throw the messages off my dock and just delete it, but I like having it there. I use it a lot, and I text a lot of my friends while I'm on my Mac, so I don't wanna get rid of it altogether. So by hiding the dock, this lets me just make sure that I'm not gonna get distracted if I'm trying to go on and do some research. The taskbar, while not a big distraction, does allow you to get that just little bit of extra screen real estate that I think helps a ton. So let's look at the difference. So let's go ahead and open up Safari and let's see what Safari looks like with the taskbar actually active. So if we were to move this down to make space for the taskbar about that far, it's not a big difference, but when you look at it in terms of just how much screen you get, if you were to bring this guy up and take up the whole screen, that's a lot of screen you get. That's a lot of potential to do research and a lot of potential to just get all of your work done. I just love having a full screen experience without having to utilize Mac's specific full screen module. I never wanted to just go into full screen because that utilizes another tip that I'm gonna get into later. But if I just wanna do some general research, just normal productivity stuff, I wanna maximize my screen. I just don't wanna have all of that space taken up by stuff that I'm really not gonna use all the time. Okay, now for the next tip, and that includes do not disturb. And actually the new M1 MacBooks have a specific button for Do Not Disturb that I've been using all of the time. But in general, I recommend you, if you want to maximize your productivity on your MacBook, have Do Not Disturb on indefinitely. macOS is a desktop operating system, but it's a very user-friendly one, which means a lot of apps are going to send you notifications, you're going to get text messages, you're going to get phone calls, you're going to get FaceTime calls, all on your Mac. Now, while that may be great if you're just using it as just like a fun device, watch some Netflix, watch some, I don't know, YouTube or something like that, it works fine for that. You don't mind getting interrupted, but when you're doing real work, you don't want to get interrupted and lose that flow that you have yourself going through. Now, there is a problem with that, and that's when I'm doing work, I still don't mind getting a phone call, because if it's from my parents or it's from someone important, I need to answer it, but I don't want to go on my phone. Having Do Not Disturb on doesn't let your MacBook notify you about phone calls, which could be a blessing and a curse, because then I have to pull out my phone to see who's calling me. Not a big deal, but overall, I think the pros for having Do Not Disturb on all the time largely outweigh the cons of having Do Not Disturb on. There's just a lot of apps that MacBooks want to notify you about every little thing. And if I go ahead and open up my notification center right now, look at this. There's just a jumble of stuff going on here from when I was putting in a disk drive or something like that. I don't want to see these things all the time. If I'm doing work, I don't want to have to keep on swiping away my notifications. So just a general rule of thumb, keep Do Not Disturb on all the time. Now, the third tip is something that I use actually all the time since I got this app, and it's an app called Magnet. So let's go ahead and open this up really quick. So if we go ahead and search up Magnet. So Magnet is a really popular way of keeping your workspace organized. And yes, I did just take it right from this picture because, hey, it's their advertising campaign. But let's actually put this into effect. Let's see what Magnet can do. So let's say I have Safari open, and at the same time, I want to just start coding something. So let's go ahead and open up VS Code. VS Code opens like that. You can see it's already snapped to the side, but let's just unsnap it for a second. Okay, so now, if we want to have them both side by side, the traditional MacBook way of doing it is either to go ahead and drag and resize it like that, and then grab the other one and try and resize it. It's just a hassle. It doesn't work that well. Or you can utilize the full screen method and tile the windows to each side, but we don't want to do that. We want to just have the normal experience of resizing. So the way you do this with Magnet is very, very simple. All you have to do is just grab Safari or grab whatever thing you're using, drag it to one side, snap it, drag VS Code or whatever other app you're using, drag it to the other side and snap it. And boom, you have a side-by-side desktop looking thing where you can go ahead and just have normal access to your apps. Magnet works great, and I use Magnet all the time for everything I'm doing. But let's say we have another window open. Let's say we have another thing of Safari. Okay, let's say we want to have double the research going on or something. We can move this Google down here, have it tile there, and we can move VS Code up here and have it tile there. You would never do this. This is a horrible way of organizing your workspace, especially when you're trying to code. You can't code in that little box, but just an example of how efficient and useful Magnet can be. Magnet also has keyboard shortcuts. I just never learned them, so I don't use them, but you could see them all right here if you ever want to download the app. And it's an amazing app to just utilize the maximum potential of your MacBook. This feature is native to Windows. I'm sure most of you know you could just drag stuff and have it auto snap. Not sure why it's not in Mac OS. I actually don't understand the reasoning behind that, but Magnet adds that functionality in, so it's just, all right, so the fourth tip for this video is to utilize the multiple desktop feature for MacBooks. And this is something that if you want full screen apps and you want to be able to go through them really quickly, this is the way to do it. So let's close out everything we have right now. Actually, let's keep VS Code open, but let's exit this third Safari or second Safari that we really don't need. So let's say I want VS Code in a full screen application and Safari in a full screen application. There's the one way of doing it with Magnet where you could just stack them on top of each other, but then you have to go here, you have to Command Tab. It's kind of a hassle. So a better way of doing it is to go ahead, maximize this window. Let's go back to the original desktop, maximize this window. And now we have a really easy way of going through each of these things. Also, you could swipe up to utilize most of your desktops, see what windows you have open on each one. It's just a super efficient way of getting full screen apps to work really easily and going through them also really easily. So what I used to do all the time is have Microsoft Word open and have Safari open. That way I could do my research and then quickly copy and paste and plagiarize. I'm kidding, please, I never did that. But I can go ahead and just type up everything really easily like that. It's just a great way of being more efficient with the way you utilize your MacBook instead of having to go to your dock and find the other app you have open or Command Tab to try and find it. Multiple desktops is a killer feature if you know how to use it properly. Now, the last tip, and we'll finish this off with Safari open right here. Let's go ahead and go on over to something called tomatotimer.com. And I'm sure if you have been studying like heavily, you know what Tomato Timer is, you know what a Pomodoro timer is. This is a really simple website for utilizing the Pomodoro timer. Now, if you don't know what the Pomodoro timer is, it's a way of studying and doing any test that you have to do with a 25-minute work period and a 5-minute rest period, and it works amazingly, like way more than I'm making it sound right now. Tomato Timer is the most popular one, but I don't use it. I use a website called PomoFocus, so let's go ahead and go on over to that one. PomoFocus, the same exact thing, just a better UI in my opinion. But on here you can see we have the Pomodoro, which is 25 minutes, we have a short break, which is 5 minutes, and then a long break, which is 15 minutes. So the way this works is you do your Pomodoro timer and then it auto starts the short break. After 4 cycles between the Pomodoro and the short breaks, which amounts to 2 hours of study time, you get a long break of 15 minutes. Usually what I do after 4 Pomodoro cycles, I don't take the long break, I just literally leave and I do whatever else I want because that was 2 hours of horrible studying. But if you want to follow the Pomodoro timer to the T, you got to do the long break of 15 minutes and get right back into your Pomodoro timer. You might be wondering, like, why? I don't understand this. And when you start using it, you will understand why this works. There's moments where you're just feeling so unmotivated, but seeing that clock tick down and seeing like 5 minutes left or something, you know you're almost done. You just got to push through and you get a nice 5-minute break to just sit down on your phone and do absolutely nothing. So just a good rule of thumb, if you're going to use a Pomodoro timer, do not break that rule. For those 25 minutes, you are doing nothing but work. Because if you just take a break in the middle of your Pomodoro timer, you're ruining the whole effect of it. Stick to your word, take that 25 minutes, get all your work done, and then relax for that extra 5-minute break. It works, trust me. So that pretty much wraps up this video. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Also, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I should have done it at the beginning of the video, but anyway, happy new year to all of you guys. I hope 2021 brings you an amazing year, better than what we had this past 2020. We don't speak about that anymore. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please consider leaving the video a like and consider subscribing if you did enjoy, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.